Hey, what's up, naughty community? Welcome back to my naughty hobby for another easy to follow crochet tutorial with Amber. And today I'm going to be showing you how to create this, I think I call it sea waves. It's hard to see the texture on the video here, but as you work it up, you'll see that we have this series of stitches or chains that will stick out and create a really thick and heavy texture. Here's what the back side of the piece will look like. If you want to follow along with me today and get the exact same measurements, I will be using a 5mm hook, or also known as an H, and also some worsted weight yarn. Happy Monday though. I hope everybody had a great Mother's Day, and that you're ready to learn this fun new stitch. So again, I'll show you. I'll wait just another minute or so to give people a chance to jump on, because I know how frustrating it is when you jump on late and you don't know where you're at. Hi, Connie. Happy to see some familiar faces. And today I kind of had the question of, if you've watched my tutorials before, or maybe this might be your first time, if there's something that I can improve on or that I'm not making clear, please let me know so I can do better for you guys. Now that I see quite a few people have jumped on, we can go ahead and get started real quick. I'll show you guys again, and maybe if I turn it to the side, you can see the texture. Let's hold it this way. Still no, really. Hi, Jane. Good morning, Aunt Lori. Unfortunately, Wyatt had to work, and so the kiddos and I just basically worked out in the yard for Mother's Day. We got my garden boxes finally filled with the dirt, but still can't plant because of freezing temperatures. I've worked my butt off growing my seeds, you know, from seed, or my plants from seeds, and I don't want to put them in the ground just to have them die on me. All right, there's quite a few people on, so let's go ahead and get started. In order to get this wave pattern to work out, we are going to be working with a multiple of 8 plus 1 for our foundation. This isn't going to count the turning chain. Oftentimes, like when I very first started crocheting, I would get really caught up on this whole multiple thing. I would do a multiple of 8 and then do the plus 1, but I would think that that would be the turning chain. What this means is your foundation row needs a multiple of 8 plus 1 extra stitch. So we are going to do 8 times 3, which would be 24, 25 with the plus 1. We are going to start with a chain of 26. There's 19 and 20. There's 24, or multiple of 8, plus 1, 25, and then there's our turning chain, 26 chains. From here, you could start working the repeat sequence or stitch pattern, which will consist of 2 different rows. However, I find it a little bit easier when I have a row to work into when I'm working shells. And so this first row and our second chain from our hook, we're going to do a single crochet in that chain and then into each chain across. So you should have a total of 25 single crochets in your foundation row. I'm actually working just into the back chain here. Sometimes I like to go into the back bumps, but for this one, I just chose that back loop. Now that I finally got the dirt filled into my boxes, I'm doing my nails tonight, you guys, because they've been driving me crazy. I do a lot of these tutorials, and I know for a lot of people it's probably not a big deal, right? Like, you didn't come to see my nails, but it seems to be the only thing I can focus on when they're looking hashed, you know. Hey Robin, who is asking type of yarn, how much, and size of crochet hook. I am using some worsted weight yarn, number 4, and also a 5mm hook. However, you can use whichever size that you already have available to you. It's not going to change how this pattern looks if you change the weight of your yarn or the size of your hook. All right, so now we're going to start on the first of the sequence, which, like I said before, is just 2 separate rows. So you'll chain 1 and turn your work. In the first stitch, right below that chain that you created, oops, I'm losing my loop there, 1 single crochet. Oh, somebody's got the care emoji or reaction, whatever it's called. I don't have that yet. So thanks for sending those my way. After you've done your single crochet, we're going to skip over the next 3 stitches, and into that 4th stitch, we are going to place 9 double crochets for a large fan or shell stitch. And if any of the stitches that I'm using today are unfamiliar to you, I do have other videos for these stitches specifically that you can watch. There's 3. 5. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. And I kind of turn my work because when you create this shell, you know, you want it to be fanning over and to lay flat against your next stitches that we will be skipping. So there's our first shell that we've done for this row. Make sure your next stitch isn't hiding. We're going to skip over the next 3. 1, 2, 3, and into that 4th one, you'll just place a single crochet. Now we'll repeat that across this entire foundation row. So you'll skip the next 3, and into that 4th one, work 9 double crochets. There's 5. And 9. Skip over the next 3 and single crochet into that 4th. Skip 3, 9 double crochet into the next. And if you're wanting to use this pattern for a blanket, you may have noticed your foundation chain is starting to kind of pull together, cinch together, because we are working so many stitches into this one, the 9 double crochets, that because of the way it's worked, you'll see it's starting to pucker up. To avoid that, I would just suggest doing 5. I would just suggest doing a few rows of single crochets to keep that a little bit straighter. You might still have a little bit of a gap, but it'll be a lot less noticeable than it is here in just working into one row. See here, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. And if your stitch is correct, you should have 3 stitches to skip, and then into our last chain or our last stitch here, we'll just place a single crochet. Getting under both loops. Looks like my yarn split a little bit on that last stitch. It's hidden now. So your first row should be looking like this. Hey Marianne, thanks for the words of encouragement. Glad you're enjoying my videos and the things I share here on my page. I'm happy to have you here. All right, now let's chain 3, and this is going to count as a treble stitch, and turn our work. All right, this is where some might get a little bit confused, but I'm going to go over slowly with you how to do this. We are going to skip, remember our chain counts as our first stitch here. We want to skip over the first double crochet in our shell stitch, yarn over, and we will be working front post double crochets together, which means we're going to work 3 stitches into 1, starting from the right to the left. Insert your hook. You're going to drop a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. Yarn over from right to left. You'll insert your hook and drop another loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. Should have 3 on your hook at this time. Yarn over one more time, and under the next stitch from right to left, you'll bring up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and now we're going to close this stitch off when you've got 4 on your hook here. Yarn over and pull through all 4 loops on your hook. So it should look like that. We're going to chain up 3. This one can be a little bit tricky to see, but we are going to go into this top loop. So you see how this last part of the stitch, you have that stitch there in front of it? The easiest way to see is to go right to the left of that. Don't go into this one, because those 3 front post double crochet together belongs to this stitch here. So we're going to work into this one, just a single crochet. chain 3, and I do these chains just a little bit tighter. And now we're going to work another one of those 3 front post double crochets together. So you yarn over. This is the stitch here that goes with our single crochet we just did. We want to go to the next one. Yarn over, insert your hook between the next stitch. Yarn over, insert your hook, drop a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and you can see those 3 stitches there, 1, 2, 3. When you've got 3 secured, you'll yarn over and pull through all 4 loops on your hook. So that little section should be looking like this. Between the shells, we're just going to do a chain 1. Now before we move forward, a good way to tell if you're placing your stitches in the right place is you should always have 1 double crochet that we skipped over in the beginning of the shell. So the first and the last double crochets should be left unworked. See how I have the 2 there that are unworked? If you look and you see, oh, I worked over the first one, it's going to throw off the overall look of your piece. All right, go ahead and yarn over. We're going to do the 3 front post double crochets together. Again, look for that first double crochet right here and go to the next. So I've already yarned over. Can see I've got the 3 there that I've worked and 4 on my hook, 4 loops on my hook. Yarn over and pull through all 4. Chain 3. Again, we want to look. Your stitches might start getting pulled, not into this one, but into this one here. There's a better view of it. Chain 3. We're going to start with this stitch. Make sure you don't count your chain 3 as a stitch if you're using the visual cues to keep track of where you're at and how many stitches you have. Don't count this one when you're doing those front post together stitches. Okay, there's our first double crochet in this bunch of shells. We're going to start with that second one. So yarn over, insert your hook from the right to the left, drop a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert your hook under your next post, chain 3. Okay, remember this stitch goes with that last bit of the front post that we did. So single crochet into that next one. And when you're looking at the reverse side of your work, if you've been watching any of my videos recently, I was talking about how when you're looking at the front side, that the stitch that goes with each post falls behind, except for when you're working on the reverse side of your work, it's the opposite. So let's see here. Okay. I didn't do my 3 chains here, which can throw off the look of your work. I seem to always want to forget those. Okay, so see here, this post goes with this chain. So we're going to go into the next one because that's where we work that single crochet. Now for this pattern, we are not going to do any chains working into our last stitch, but we are going to do a treble crochet, which is yarning over twice before you insert your hook. So into the last stitch here, we'll do a treble. To reach the height requirements, you'll chain 1 and turn your work. We have our first segment of stitches done. And if you're working this up with me, you'll be able to see and feel the texture a lot better. Because of these post stitches, it looks like, or it is, behind the actual work, giving it more dimension to your piece. We're going to start those shells again. So in the first stitch, I'm going to do a single crochet. And now, instead of working the shell just into that top part of the single crochet, I like to work it right here where the last one went, which is just going to add even more texture. Again, these are 9 double crochet shells that we're creating. Thanks, Helen. And welcome, Lila, watching from Nepal. Two, 4, 6, 7, 8, and excuse me, 9. Here in this chain 1 spot, we're just going to do a single crochet to anchor the other side of that shell down. And then we'll start another 9 double crochet shell into this stitch right here. Here's 8 and 9. Kind of feels like more than 9. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, but it's not. Hi, Trisha. Hey, Cheryl. There actually isn't a written pattern for this right now, as I came up with it this morning while sipping my morning coffee. I felt like the front posts together stitches were going to be difficult to explain in a written version. So for the most part, I prefer to do just to show with video calling because I get a little bit wordy. Two, 4, 6, 3 more. Hold on just 1 second, you guys. Whoa! Everything's coming undone. Sorry about that. Hold on just 1 second. I hear... Hey, Silas, you need to come here right now. No, listen to me. It is not ever funny or a joke to talk about killing yourself. I do not want to hear you talk about that again. We don't talk like that. Do you understand me? Okay. I love you. Don't do that. These boys. Sorry, guys. Things went a little crazy there. Make sure I had the right amount. 9. Okay, and so for our last stitch, we're going to end with a single crochet. Get my camera right here. My boys threw me for for a loop. All right, now look for the first open back bump of a chain that you have, or you can count up 1, 2, 3, and that is where you will work your single crochet. So that row's pretty simple, and that to me is the pretty side of this work. Hi, April. Let's chain up 3 to count as our first treble crochet. And we're going to start on those front post double crochet together stitches, skipping the first one in the shell. We're going to work over the next 3. Chain 3. And then work a single crochet into the next. Chain 3. We're going to front post double crochet the next 3 stitches together. Whoa! So I can see here that before those start, I have 1 open stitch before and 1 open stitch after. We'll chain 1 and move on to the next group. Or basically you're skipping over these three, but it's easier if you look at the actual shells where you're going to start. Hi Verna, hi Angel. Chain 3, and then we're going to work a single crochet into the next, chain 3 again, thank you. I think it turned out pretty fun too. I'm all about texture. And also having like a whole, treasure trove of patterns and stitch combos to use when creating blankets. I get so bored with just a double crochet. Okay, so there's our first one. We're going to go over the second double crochet in those groups of shells. Again, an easy way to tell if you've gone over enough is you'll be able to see those 3 stitches. You'll have 4 on your hook, chain up 3, single crochet in the next, chain 3. Remember at the end there, we're not going to be doing any chains, just a treble crochet into our last stitch. Chain 1 and turn. I'll work a couple more rows out, but I won't get all wordy with it, because if you've been watching this far and maybe working along, then maybe it's going to get irritating if I tell you each little stitch. Hi, Della. Thanks, Sylvia. If you're looking to add texture to your next project, just looking for a new stitch to try out, stitch combo. This is multiple stitches work together. I encourage you to try this one, which I'll post the video to my page after it's complete. Sometimes it takes a little while, excuse me, for it to get on there simply because I like to upload it in the best quality video that I can. And when you upload in HD, it takes a little bit longer. So if you're just jumping on and I'm sorry, and you're kind of lost as to where we are at, this will be available here in just a little bit to watch from the beginning. And then again into the next clear bump there that you can find, single crochet. Those single crochets act as an anchor to keep your shell stitch down. I hear you out there, Soup. Super de duper. Anytime he hears me in here chatting away, he finds himself down here. Chain up 3. So this will be the last row that I do until I show you how you can finish this off to give yourself some easy to find stitches to work a border into if you want. Aw, thanks, Arlene. I appreciate that. Good, I did do the chain 3. For some reason, after that single crochet, a lot of the time I like to forget about the chains, which wouldn't be a huge deal, but it might, it might make your work look just a little bit funny. So I've got my chain 1 there. Instead of counting stitches, I like to just look for that second double crochet. My yarn was splitting there. Hey Lisa, how are you doing? I'm always happy to see you jumping on. One of my top fans. I'm glad that you're here today. I think Facebook did away with the whole top fan badges, which totally bums me out. But trust, I do recognize those of you who are jumping on often to encourage my work and give me a little boost of confidence, letting me know I'm reaching the right people. but I wonder why they did away with that feature. Oh, thanks, Mimi. I'm glad that I've made it easy for you to follow, because it's always priority for me to explain these things as simply as I can in a way that no matter what your level of crochet is or how long you've been crocheting, that you're able to understand. All right, since we started with that chain 3, we're going to end with a treble stitch into our last. So we'll turn our work now. Like I said, this camera makes it really difficult to see the texture that you're working with. Trying to kind of fold it up. If you're working along with me, you'll definitely be able to see it. But this is kind of like a ledge here. Stitch where we did those back post stitches, it creates it to bunch out a little bit more. And then because we work our shells into the previous spot of that single crochet, it brings it together a little bit more and pushes it out even further to give you like ultra texture. But it reminds me so much of waves. Here's the little example piece that I initially had shown you guys when we first started. So I guess I could technically 1, 2, yeah. Nope, that's actually right. So let me show you how to do, or the count that you'll want to do if you want to finish it and create a border with it. And when I show you guys how to do these, I always try to finish off with just single crochets, because for a lot of patterns you need a specific amount of stitches to do those really fancy borders. And having a row of single crochets to work into is a lot easier than trying to figure it out when you have raw edges and raw, the tops and the bottoms. If you don't work a foundation row, trying to create a specific number of stitches for a border is a headache. I'm not saying it can't be done, but you might feel like screaming when all is said and done. So I chained one and I did a single crochet into my first stitch. And that's our 3 front post double crochet together stitches. We're going to do another one there. But then over our chain, we're just going to do 2 stitches, not the 3. Can't stand it when that happens. Oh, my grandma jumped on to watch. Hey, Grandma. We'll do a single crochet in our previous single crochet. Geez, that's just looking awful. I hate when the yarn does this. Oh, well, I better not mess with it or it's going to get worse. So over our chain 3 spots, we're just going to do 2 single crochets. 1 for those together front post double crochets. Don't miss that one there. Our foundation row was 25 stitches long. So when we're finished here, we should have 25 stitches across. And then we don't want to forget the one and our last stitch there. Let's just go ahead and count real quick. Make sure I had my pattern right for working these. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. Where did I miss one? We should have 25. I'm just going to count again real quick. 2, 4, 6, 8, 18, 20. Oh, I see. Okay, so this is where that missing stitch went. I did the last 2 over the chain, right? This is those 3 front post double crochets together. So that needed a stitch. And then in our beginning chain here, must have worked that one kind of tight into that back bump. Our last. So whatever amount of stitches you began with should be how many are on your border. And again, if you're just jumping on, I wanted to again tell you guys that if you don't want this wave at the bottom of your work, which I kind of think it gives it some character, you can do a few rows of your single crochets before you actually start this pattern, which could look really cool if you did, say, I don't know, 5 rows, just a random number, 5 rows of maybe half double crochets, and then you start your pattern and do a block of these waves, and then another block of half double crochets, or whatever it is that you whatever stitch you want to use to kind of break it up. Or you could do an entire blanket in this, and I think it would be equally as beautiful. Where's my other little piece? This aqua color is just fantastic. But here's the front side of our work, where you can see a little bit more of that texture. And then, of course, the back side, which is equally as beautiful and no doubt will make you feel like you are a master crocheter, even if, this is one of your very first projects. And I'm thinking for future tutorials, I'll probably get one out on this a little bit later, but I've been creating little face scrubbies. And so if you are interested in learning how to do a face scrubby, the video, haven't created it yet, but I will be available a little bit later today here on Facebook. But that's about it. My kids are being unusually quiet, and maybe they're upstairs reading, getting along really well, or they're just getting into something that they shouldn't be. Anyways, I'm going to hop off of here, and if you have any questions, or if there's a certain stitch or technique that you would like to learn, please don't hesitate to reach out to me and let me know. I'll try to get one hooked up for you. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to jump off of here. Hope you guys have a wonderful Monday. Happy hooking, and I'll talk to you guys all real soon. Bye, guys.